Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Silver Surfer Black, issue number 1. Guys, be careful. This is another one of those, see right there? This is another one of those kinds of covers with all the black on the cheap freaking covers that also happened on the inside when I was reading Donnie Cates's letter to us. Yeah, so it's going to happen. Just, careful. Dude, this was a good book. This was a solid comic book that you should undeniably buy because hell yeah. just hell yes. Buy this comic book. Go get it signed. All that good stuff. You're going to love it. Let's talk about who made the comic book. We'll get into the book itself. Black, part 1 of 5. Donnie Cates and Tradd Moore on the story script and then the story and the art, respectively. Dave Stewart doing the covers. No, excuse me. Dave Stewart doing the colors. I always do that. And VC's Clayton Cowles on letters. Tradd Moore did the cover. And there's a lot of people doing the variant cover. Sorry, love y'all, but come on, man. So, and of course, Silver Surfer was created by Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. It's a good comic book, dude. Listen, first off, you should be reading Guardians of the Galaxy issue number 1 by Donnie Cates. And you should also be reading Guardians of the Galaxy annual number 1, which just came out the previous week, also by Donnie Cates. These are actually mandatory reads before you read this one. So if you have no idea what in the hell is going on, at the very minimum, if you're not going to read all of the Guardians of the Galaxy that came up to now, which is basically just the freaking volume 1, like I don't know if the trade paperback is that yet, but it might as well be. You need to read those before you read this. At the very least, the 2 issue number 1s, the annual and the actual. Otherwise, you're not going to know what the hell's going on here. But Silver Surfer is indeed trapped in a black hole. You get the name of the title? Anyway, it's actually more than that. This book, drawn by Tradd Moore, mind you. There's a cool conversation by Cates in the back with my thumbprint on it, on my copy at least, where he talks about his friendship with Tradd Moore, going to school with him and whatnot. Tradd's artwork, in this book at least, looks a whole lot like Mike Allred's, who did the previous Silver Surfer run with Dan Slott. I think there were only like 15 issues. I have yet to finish all of them. I need to freaking finish all of them. One of these days I'm going to go back and do a spotlighted story on them. In the meantime, this artwork looks very similar to Allred's style. Not an easy style to replicate, is it? So kudos, man, kudos. And it's perfect for inside of this black hole universe. It's basically like a pocket dimension, for crying out loud. It's not proper reality, And I dig this. The story itself stands on solid ground. The art, all of the artwork in this, everybody who I mentioned, they did a freaking bang-up job in this. Everything in here is meant to confuse you just a little bit, to the very least keep you off of your feet. There is no solid ground to stand on when you're reading this comic book. You're in a black hole. You need to feel like up is down, left is right, inside is all the way through. And that's pretty much how you feel with this. It's easy to follow the panel layout. It's easy to follow the story, everything. You're not going to look at something and say, what am I reading here? What am I looking at here? It all gets explained by the end. And then there's that last page reveal where you're just like, freaking Donnie Cates, man. Donnie is determined to tell this story. And ain't nobody going to stop him. This isn't one of those situations where somebody's going to be like, all right, Donnie, man, I'm getting sick of hearing about this freaking... No, by all means, let this be your legacy, It's funny, the guy's like only his first couple of years into working at Marvel and freaking guy's already got a legacy. How the hell does that happen? Anyway, goddamn good book. Goddamn good book. And I don't think anybody's going to have a disappointed moment reading this. This really feels like the Silver Surfer. This feels a whole lot like Lee and Kirby doing the story. This feels a lot like Starlin doing the story. It's good. This feels a lot like Slott doing the story also. He genuinely picked apart the pieces that he liked the best, that we liked the best doing this. Cates is a fan. You know, Moore is a fan. You could tell by the way that they're presenting the story. They're fans of the comic books. This isn't just a paycheck for them, you know? Yeah, I can relate. So, likewise, get the story, enjoy the story, get the 2 issue number 1s of Guardians of the Galaxy, the actual and the annual, to understand what's going on. If you're already there, then you're already here. This is just a continuation of that story. We finally get to see what's going on inside the black hole. And this is going to be a hell of a story. It's a great way to show one of the most powerful characters there is, that he's not the most powerful, being that there is. But he knows that. The Surfer's humility is one of his more defining characteristics. I do have to complain about one thing. I don't know if it's a complaint. The conversation that Cates has in the back of the book. Stan has long said that Silver Surfer is his favorite character, one of his favorite, or his favorite creation. He's said that about all of his creations too. Stan Lee has a great way to talking to all of us on individuals, and it's paying attention to the other conversations that allow you to realize. In reality, Ant-Man was always his favorite. He struggled the hardest to try and get an Ant-Man movie made, to get the Ant-Man comic to continue. He did almost everything with his power. And I'm not talking about the Scott Lang, Bob Layton creation. No, I'm talking about like the actual Henry Pym original Ant-Man character. But the character that he associated with the most was Spider-Man, because that was the brilliance of his youth. But the character who he wound up enjoying talking about the most, because he fed off of the energy of the first people he was really talking to en masse, constantly, was the college kids. And they really got over on the philosophical ramblings of the Silver Surfer. So he loved talking about the Surfer the most. He never took credit for being part of for being part of the creation. Yes, he did, but Stan Lee was not the mainstay creator. He had more creation, more say on the creation process than he allowed himself with Doctor Strange. He gives pretty much full credit of that to Steve Ditko. But with the exact same co-creator, Spider-Man, he's like, no, I created Spider-Man. Ditko, all he did was draw it. And that was after 2 other people tried to draw it, and I didn't like their drawings. So, yeah, I'll write down that he's a co-creator because he feels really bad and, sorry to say it, butthurt about the creation of this big money-making character. But make no mistake, it was all me. It was all me. So, there's that. Anyway, long story about Stan, but it's cool seeing different people's perspectives on Stan Lee himself. It's cool seeing these things, and anybody our age has seen, has met Stan Lee by. I'd hope if you haven't by now, you're not going to. You got to get into the good graces of the comic book gods in order to actually see Stan Lee at this point. But yeah, man. All in all, just seeing the experience, reading Cates' experience with him, that's cool. That's cool. I love seeing, like, everybody should write their Stan Lee story. Everybody should tell us their Stan Lee stories. Got a whole bunch of it from Niagara Falls Comic Con, man. Can't wait to share that with you guys. Anyway, one of these days I'll get around to editing those. For now, excellent story. You need to get this. There's no conversation about that. This needs to be in your collection. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.